If you're a dentist trying to buy a practice, like and subscribe now. That's the hook. It's our hook thing. We're doing this now. And I know we're recording, but Min says this hook's going to double our viewers, and we're going to have millions of viewers from us tricking you into listening to our podcast. So I hope this works. Tell 'em, Min. Where did we leave off last time?
Welcome back to another episode of Dental Dummies, where today we get to speak with an endodontist, a very successful one who acquired a practice really early in his career. Before we get to that one, let's do a little recap of the last episode where we met with one of the greatest designers in the United States right now, designing dental offices all over, Allison Rasmus from Rasmus Interior Design, where it goes through a whole process, and it's not just someone with a fancy Pinterest, but actually goes through the floor plan and knows what the look of everything is and the viewpoint when you enter a room, repeating elements, and typically helps mostly startups and those that are 30 years into the career. So if you're considering like a brand new build out, I think it's worth at least a conversation to go through that whole process and consider a designer. It is actually a different person than like the architect who actually does like the MEPs and stuff. What else was there, Joe, that you remember?
I remember. She makes your practice pretty. No, it was good because what was nice about having Allison on there was we were able to explain how like design, even though it's expensive, is a key component to making an office, whether you just bought it or you're starting it. It's a key thing that you want to do, and if you don't do it right away, you're never going to do it. And it's good to have a good looking office. I mean, it's segueing into a lot of stuff we're going to talk here with the not as handsome Joe. We're going to talk about like, how he figured out what he wanted to do and he made some changes. I sat in his office. It's comfy. He has big cushions and, he makes it
Has
nice. And
chairs.
like, right? What would you call that, Joe? Like those cushions,
It's
where
like
they like,
it's like a couch booth situation of sorts for the waiting room.
and it's
Not
it's
something you see every
interesting.
day.
Yeah.
No, and there's weird things like Min's swing and like Min has a swing in his office. And you having like a couch booth and like certain stupid little things like add character and they make it like less scary, especially going to a specialist and like, what we're going to talk about today, which we would, most people see like a lot of our friends are specialists and it doesn't mean you can't be a general dentist to be successful. But a lot of specialists go into ownership sooner because you guys already spend extra lifespan training for the specialty. So then you come out of specialty and you're kind of like, all right, I'm ready to go. And I mean, uh, you know, I guess Dr. Legg here, Joseph Legg the third, right? Are you the third?
Second.
Dr. Joseph Legg the second. He went to UPenn, did double Penn. What we find interesting about his story is he was one of those people where right out of residency, he went into ownership. I want him to attest to his situation so that people aren't as scared going out of residency and making the jump. Because I have like 25% of my new owners are actually out of residency. And Min did his startup right out of residency. Joe did his acquisition right out of residency. And I think there's a lot of value to giving those perspectives to people who might be on the fence. Joe, what do you think was like, when did you know that that's what you wanted to do that early?
So, when I was coming out of school, my plan was to immediately buy my dad's endo practice off of him. The reason we went that direction rather than me partnering with him or being an associate for a bit was twofold. One, I had $800,000 in student loans, and we both thought that my best bet at digging myself out of that hole was to buy a really large shovel so I could dig myself out quickly. But even more importantly, my dad realized that I was going to be doing things very differently than he was doing them 30 years after he got out of school. So rather than trying to figure out how we wanted to move forward and make compromises here or there, I just bought it and took out a loan for everything that I wanted to change about the practice, and we started fresh with me directing the ship. kind of just figured having one leader is a bit more efficient than having two. And my dad trusted me to make good decisions as it pertained to moving the practice in the right direction. So, that was just kind of always the game plan.
When you were doing that and like you talked about the loan process, and I know, both of you guys actually had probably it was similar timing of dealing with the banks. What do you think the hardest part of going through that as like a resident would be? And I want both of you to kind of go through like, because I think Min, I think you had some obstacles too, and I know Joe did. I'm sure he'll talk about it, but like dealing with the different lenders and like the back and forth, like what's your feedback on that?
You want me to go first or Ben?
You go first.
Yeah, you go first, Joe.
Okay, so this is 3 years ago now, but from what I remember, one of the good things is it was coming right out of COVID, so interest rates were still pretty reasonable, which was nice. Because all my rates were like in the 3.5% area, so I got lucky there. But one of the things that I remember being super challenging was because I wasn't a practicing doctor yet, I was having a really hard time getting the financing to like buy equipment and things like that. So basically everything was set to close as soon as I finished residency, but I had so many things to do and try to purchase while I was in residency so that I could hit the ground running, you know, at the beginning of July. Residency ends June 30th or whatever. I don't want to be acquiring my funding on July 1st and then having to wait months and months and months to get everything set up. I was trying to get all of this stuff done in May, and the bank was kind of giving me a hassle. So I was having trouble ordering my CBCT and buying my microscopes and different equipment that I needed to stock in my office. I also purchased real estate as part of my deal. That actually, I don't even remember. I think I needed my dad as a co-signer for like 2 months.
Yeah, it was a maximum of 6 months, but they took them off in like two or three. And like the thing that all and not about it, but the big thing with like the loan was like they were like, all right, technically you're not an endodontist till June.
Yeah,
And like it was like it doesn't matter if you were done all your requirements, doesn't matter if you were top in your class or anything like that. They were like, where's the degree? We don't care.
hmm,
And that is something people have to keep in mind, like dealing with these lenders. Like pros are we got a great rate, we had an okay experience dealing with the lenders like as a whole, but at the end, like closing up the deal, just make sure you're ready and that you have all those things in the row. Because if you weren't buying from your dad, the guy could have upped the price
yeah,
or could have drug you to see if you didn't know that was going to be an obstacle.
yeah. You definitely have to be flexible. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if my dad wasn't the owner of the practice, I would have set up a contract with whoever I was buying the practice off of to say, you know, for those first 3, 4 months, I'm going to be acting associate or something with the intent to buy, shortly after with a letter of intent or something. I mean, we made it through, but it was complicated and it was stressful just trying to get all the equipment in place in time and everything. But, flexibility and it got done.
Oh yeah. I mean, Min, I guess with your loan, it was similar. I mean, you barely scrapped by to get the ideal to higher ideal when we start. You were literally in residency. I don't know if you
Yeah, I had
remember.
I
It
had
was
I had to borrow money. I borrowed money to like possibly acquire money. It was really weird. I was in residency when I hired Ideal to do that
which
part.
is rare. Like you
Yeah,
guys both did like most people they'll buy if you're buying an office, you buy it 1 to 2 months out of residency. Joe literally bought it as he got out, and Min literally started his startup because he was like, "Oh, it's gonna take 2 years. Well, I'm gonna waste my resident year." It was like this set like you guys finished in April, and I think it was like November, December when you cut the check, right?
correct.
You're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I need these months to pick my like location and stuff," and like that's not normal, but it's a good. I feel like you know doing it that way also helped you figure out where you wanted to go. Like, I don't think you wanted to do Percival from the start, right? Like, it was, you narrowed it down.
Initially, it was actually the town nearby, and then I'm like, well, this one might actually be better. So I was actually one of the lucky ones to go through like the real estate step with Ideal that I kind of hit it like right on the spot. But I did a lot of my own personal legwork of like where I think I could go before I like working with Ideal Practices. And in terms of like the loan, the hard part for me was, okay, you can't actually like go look for a site until you're actually graduated. There's no point in trying to send in an LOI for a space or even get an official bank letter until you're officially graduated. So like I think I was able to qualify for like one of those like soft letters that like nobody, like a real pre-approval letter. That wasn't going to happen until after you graduate, and then you actually go look for real estate, and then you could submit a letter of intent. And the hard part for me was more, you close on your loan at the same time as you sign your lease is the most ideal. But when it comes to a brand new lease, there's a lot of back and forths and red tapes, and your own lawyer, followed by the landlord's lawyer, back and forth, and the rates change. It could take as quick as 1 month to 6 months for all you know of getting a lease signed. Rates can change all the time in that time frame, and the banks, who knows how they feel 6 months from now. What's the rate going to be? Is it going to change? And then you're like trying to see, do you have enough money? So at that time, it was peak COVID for me too. My interest rate was like super low, but the cost of construction and lumber and everything was going up, and you get tentative quotes of how much it's going to be. So then the amount of loans just had to keep going up higher and higher and higher. So we had to keep revisiting, hey, we need this much more and we need this much more money, until we had a number that we were okay with. So that was probably my biggest challenge, was like, you know, where Dr. Joe can control, like he knows like, oh, this is where he's going to go. This is how much it's going to cost. It's just a matter of getting it approved. For me, it was like, we're not quite sure. Technically, the landlord could kind of back out any given moment, but you know, you have to time it out with the bank all at the same time. And here's where we're at now.
That sounds
And
way harder.
think about that I think you could both relate to is student loans. And both of you guys went in there with a sizable amount of loans, both had a bunch of debt and was taking out debt. And I'll do it backwards this time. And how did you feel taking out debt while while also having an enormous amount of debt after literally just finishing school? And then, I want Joe's thoughts on that as well, because like I think a lot of people are scared that like you can't get a loan because you have student loans, or that all these loans are the same. And like, what are your thoughts and how did you feel going through that?
Luckily, before working for CFS Dental Division, I was actually a client of CFS. And I had the whole student loan process, and it forced me to really understand the nuances of like student loan repayment backs and the federal programs. So it's twofold. One, we were in the middle of an interest freeze. So of all times to actually take out an additional loan and push the student loans off to the side, that was the peak time to do it. You could buy yourself 1 to 2 years, and if you were lucky, maybe like a few months after, like end of the summer, was the perfect time to actually take out the loan. Then you could buy yourself 2 to 3 years of no interest rates for your student loans and focus on like the business. So for me, I'm like, okay, I kind of like how Dr. Joe put it. It's like, you're already in a big hole. You really, really want to set yourself up for the future. You need to put yourself in a position with like a bigger shovel to get out. Like, don't just, no different than trying to go to dental school. You don't work for a minimum wage at $10 an hour, save up $500,000 and then go to dental school. You take the loan, go to dental school, put yourself in a higher figure income, still live your life, and manage your student loans at the same time. And as far as student loans, is with how the banks feel about it, it really didn't even faze them. They understand student loan repayments. They know it has to be paid, and the federal programs. And they just care about what the monthly payment is. Can you afford it? Is it manageable? Because they want to see you succeed. They want you to succeed as soon as possible. So I think the time of not having a business open will be more costly from delaying your peak earning dollars than it is to pay off your student loans as soon as you can. Let's say if your just first year work is $100,000, for the very, very conservative side, to let's say $1,000 in your first year, and you're just trying to make that the entire time before paying taxes and then take care of student loans. Although I had no problem doing it, I had a lot of confidence, like working with the right team, the financial team, such as you and Joe Hogan and everybody else. to push forward into the entrepreneurial world. What about you, Dr. Joe?
All right, so I guess I'll start with student loans and then I'll just talk about debt in general. Dave Ramsey would probably hate me. I have a 410 student loans,
He would
800,000.
hate all of CFS
I don't
probably.
think he would even like any of us.
And I try my best to pay them off slowly so I could invest and build my net worth on the positive end, not on the negative. So my view is that my student loan can only go to zero. It's not going to go up. It's only going to go down. And there's a maximum to which it could go down. It goes to zero, but your net worth could go up infinitely. So I'd rather work on the upside than the downside personally. People say that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, but that works both ways. So like, as silly as it may sound, I look at it as the power of inflation is basically making my loan more affordable every single year. 800,000 today is a lot more expensive than 800,000 5 years from now. So from that perspective, I don't really see too much of a problem of going slow with it and trying to stack assets before paying that down. Especially like Min said, we've had this freeze on the student loans that we all benefited from a lot. Saved a ton of interest on. Not having to make those payments has been huge. As far as debt in general, I view debt as a really powerful tool, but with the caveat that it has to be managed very appropriately. So, like a lot of people will say that they'd rather make a minimum payment towards their debt and then invest the difference in the stock market because they could get a greater yields, doing things like that. But the problem is that a lot of people actually forget to invest that, extra portion. They just go spend it. So if you're
Yep.
the type of person that can manage that debt and is willing to invest the difference and go after that yield, and you can sleep at night knowing that you have all of that debt, then there's really no reason to worry about it. I mean, I have a few $1,000,000 worth of debt. I sleep like a baby, but it's because I automate savings and investing every single week. So yeah, I mean, that's a powerful tool if you use it the right way.
I think, and I mean, I don't know if I'm speaking for you guys either, but I'm pretty close with both of you. And like for me, if someone's willing to give me $3 million in debt at the right price, I'll take all the debt all day. Because as long as I can invest it in my business or in something else, I know in most scenarios I can out earn my debt. Obviously, there's like predatory loans, like you don't want a 20% or 30% interest loan, but like debt is only a downside if you're not out earning your debt. And people think that that means they have to make 800 grand that year. It just means you have to earn more than that debt's accruing each year and be able to actually manage having the debt. And I think that's where people get lost or misunderstand and they rush. And I have a lot of people, I meet them, they're 15 years into practicing and they just paid off all their debt and then they take out a practice loan and they feel stupid because they just doubled their income now in a practice and they're paying this practice debt. And they're like, why did I wait till my student loans were gone to do this when you could have had double the income the whole time? And I think that's where people get lost and they feel like it's like bad debt, like if you bought a car or like, you know, or I don't even want to
Shopping
say house
spree at the
because
mall.
yeah, like shopping spree at the mall or something, or buying too many Rolexes or whatever. I mean, like it could happen, but
Yeah,
it's
something that
yeah.
I've come across, not being a financial advisor, of course, but just meeting other people that are interested in, starting their own practice or buying a practice. I don't know where this idea came from, but a good chunk of people have said, "Oh yeah, I'm saving up my money to buy a practice." Like, what do you mean? Like you're gonna save up $500,000 and you're gonna pay cash for a practice? That's ridiculous. And maybe I'm wrong
And you don't need
there,
that much money.
but it just like, that's, you don't want to be so over levered that you go bankrupt. But at the same point in time, these lending situations are so favorable for dentists in order to set up their practice and go after that income. There's no reason you should be taking your, you know, $500,000 after tax dollars that you saved up for years and years and go spending it on a practice when you could finance the entire thing.
Exactly. I mean, given Min graduated West Virginia at like 50 years old and had like, maybe 20 grand more than the normal graduating resident just for this age. You
I
don't
look
need a
great,
lot of
don't I?
money. He looks great for being his mid 50s, 60s, something like that. I think Asian people, like you guys like plateau, right? Like you only age every like 30 years. Is that what it is? It's like 30-year
Pretty
bands.
much.
Like,
Until we're
yeah,
on like AARP membership, this is pretty much what I'm gonna look like until then. This is it. And then after this, I'll be like a skeleton, like trying to deadlift at the gym. That's what it's gonna be.
yeah. I mean, other than that, like most people have 10 to 50 grand when they go to buy an office, and that's it. If the office cash flows, you could buy it with almost no money. If it doesn't cash flow, you just got to cover the gap, which if the gap's more than like 50 grand and it's not like a $2 million office, then there's something wrong with it anyway. But then even with a startup, they only want $50,000. Like the banks literally know there's half of a percent chance that you're going to fail. So like if it's less than a 1% chance of failure, it's better to do that than anything else. I can't think of any other thing I could tell you to do that's going to give you better odds than opening an office,
No, that's right.
right?
I like the way like Dr. Joe put it. It was like don't save up your whole money. It's like you have to focus on growing your revenue. Stop worrying about trying to save your way to wealth, and you need to grow your businesses, bet on yourself, and yeah, you could even invest like the yield difference into the stock market. But how Joe always told me all the time is, oh, I'd rather bet on myself because you have full control of your own company. And as a
Yup.
startup, you can easily just double the first 5 years when you're open of your revenue, even if it started like a small number. Because then in a short like 3, 4, 5 years, you're already in easily in seven figures, maintaining like a lower overhead the entire time. Then you can kind of do whatever you want in 5 years, and how it depends on how you feel. Whether it is to tackle your student loan debt after taxes, or get another location and hire more doctors, and then you kind of do that process all over again. Yeah.
And it's like the best way I could describe it is like even for me, like I put my money where my mouth is. Like I took out 20 times the debt that YouTube took out when I bought into CFS. Like it was a terrible financial decision on paper. It's worth $13 million. I spent 20. But I knew it's where I wanted to be. I knew there was nowhere else really to go, and I knew I could fund it, and I knew I could out earn my investment. So even though it sounds scary, I knew I could double what I was doing if I had control. And unlike dental offices, there was only like three options. So for me, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna buy this and do it. And I think people get scared, but that's just a number relative to what you're earning. Like it's not scary if like you're gonna earn a $5 million, then you're not scared about the debt. And people forget to think about like those things. And I think a lot of the ways to put on the blinders to not being scared is to build your team. And like, man, you brag about your team. You're just bragging about your designer and like how she's the best. And like I like her. We never really used to deal with that. And like now we're gonna start like, recommending those things more. And like we're I think a lot of this year, well, the year's almost over, but a lot of this like the next 12 months of us posting on here and me writing on our blog and stuff, it's about building the right team. And like, what's really different about an acquisition is you really need a lot of people to keep you on point. So like you're building out like you need a banker, so a lender that you trust. You need a financial guy to tell you you're not crazy because sometimes you feel like you're taking out too much debt or you have a lot of roadblocks. You need an accountant. You need maybe a consultant. You need to know what kind of education you're going into. And I guess, like Joe, my question is, how did you build that team? Like a little bit background on Joe. Joe bothered me third year dental school with one of his buddies, Matt, and they sat with me and they were like, "We're gonna own practices. We don't know what. Like, we're gonna own offices. We need to know how to be owners." Remember, like you were like, "This, how does student loans work? I know all of this." Dave, I think you literally started out with like Dave Ramsey's stupid. I know there's a better way to do this with loans, and you were like, "How do I maximize?" And like Joe is one of those people driven by knowledge. He was one of the only people that asked me questions when I gave my lunch and learn at UPenn. Like like he was dialed in, and I guess like being dialed in and like knowing what you want, like how did you build your team and why'd you pick them?
Well, yeah, I mean, it started with you, obviously. You guys were integral to, figuring out the student loan plan, and just making sure that the bases were covered. So yeah, I mean, I started with you guys, and when I needed funding for the practice, I came to you. You gave me, my options for lenders, tried them all out, saw who, offered the best rate, picked that. Pretty much whenever I need anything, I just kind of ask you, right? Like, because you guys are connected. It's like, hey, who could help me with, an insurance problem? Who might I be able to talk to about this or that? I went and I found consultants for my practice, outside of you guys as well,
Yep.
just to find ways to, maximize what we're doing, schedule efficiently, make sure that we're doing things the correct way to be productive and as efficient as possible. And I think that that's, super worth it. Even if it's, a big check that you have to cut for somebody, I, really abide by the rule that if you could pay somebody for their 10,000 hours, do it, because 10,000 hours is a long time and you don't want to have to figure it all out yourself. It could save you a couple of years. So yeah, I'll be honest with you, when you told me to talk about building a team, I thought that you meant my office staff. So I'm a little thrown
That
off.
too. No, but it's not thrown off. It's all right. Like I'll give you an example. Like we gave you those options, but you had a process to picking what worked.
Hmm.
And it's the same way like we build out your staff and like that's my next question honestly anyway is also like to build on that like how did you build out your actual staff because you changed your staff a lot and like you even changed the way you guys do endo. I mean like you're doing what like even Min's doing it now with like the act like I'm allowed to talk about it, right? Like I don't have to give too much details, but like people know you're training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Min's doing a bunch of extra secret training on like some new techniques and stuff that are gonna put them on like the edge. And I feel like, Joe, I feel like that's what made your practice better was
Hmm.
the training you did with your dad. And like, how'd you find that? Like, I didn't give you that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shit that like, what's your process with doing that stuff? And like, how did you pick your team and build your training process? Cause like your office really is extremely efficient.
It's just like the thirst for knowledge and just constantly trying to improve, and you just, lingering on Google, asking every single question that you could possibly come up with in, like, how to be more efficient, how to do this, how to do that. After doing that so many times, you start to read the same blog posts from the same people, and you kind of find something that gels well with you, and realize, okay, like maybe there's more information, than just what's written on this paper, what's written on this blog post. And that's basically how I found my consultants, just by finding information online, that I meshed well with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me. It's like you're going through your whole process and you're trying to figure out, oh, this person felt, like a certain patient maybe felt that it was a little bit too expensive for them and out of their budget. And then, okay, well, how do I make it worth their while to come to me versus the competition? Because I wasn't going to try to be like the cheapest one in the county. I wasn't going to lower the fees. I'm like, okay, how do I do this better, faster? And you can actually visually see the results. I think it's hard for a patient to understand, I don't know how efficient, an endodontic therapy is, but they can usually see the visual change in someone's smile. And that's how I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, okay, how are literally a handful of orthodontists creating these wonderful smiles in a fraction of the time? And then you try a little bit here, you try a little bit there, and you start to dabble in a little bit, only to realize, okay, the only way to really, really do it all is to do the same results. You have to do all the techniques all in. And I was on a mission at that last AAO. And we're in the middle of doing the PITS 21 system. And these smiles are, I think, the best in
You're
the
talking
whole
about the
world.
Philly one, right?
In
You
Philadelphia, yeah, the
you
first
didn't
day.
even you didn't even fucking talk to me. Let me talk about how Min ignored me the whole AAO in Philadelphia, and I spent the whole time there. And he was just like, "Oh, hi, Joe." Gone. My co-host, my alleged best friend, my buddy I talked to in the middle of the night, basically a semi-work husband, that gets hot and heavy when I need him to be, was gone during AAO. It's not gonna edit that part out, Joe. The
In your home
algorithm
city.
the algorithm leaves these little rants in there, and I don't know why, but it's fine. It ups our viewership by one creep every episode. But yeah, like Min was so into that course, and it was kind of crazy, like and I think that's why like people like us and like a lot of people in our network are very similar like that, like with delegating things. Like I pay so much money to delegate to things that I don't know, and we invest a lot in like making things faster, adding research, and like the big beautiful bill. We saved a lot of people a lot of money in taxes, and that probably cost me 300.
I think someone's calling him. No, I'll leave him back on. We'll probably have to cut this part out. I'll find it. He's probably squashing it right now, I hope. Hopefully his phone didn't die. So other than, hey, you and me, I didn't know there was more than one way to do a root canal. I thought it was just cut a hole.
It's just you could really waste a lot of time in an endodontic office. Put it that way. The way that you schedule,
Okay.
the way that you treat. I mean, is there multiple ways to do it? Kind of. But at the end of the day, it's all basically the same. It really just is finding ways to have your team move around you in such a way that you can be more efficient.
I think the orthodontic world, as one provider, you can design your office to see 100 people a day.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as orthodontics and our systems, in our realm of things, we have to schedule very efficiently, and there's people that can help you with that sort of thing. But I could see how endo people could think like, I don't know, you see 4 patients a day and you could call it a very productive day. Obviously with scheduling and optimizing your time between the consults and actual treatment and what kind of treatment and how long it's going to be, you can. And I think what you were alluding to is like the doctor time.
I know people who do 3 root canals a day. I know people that somehow manage to do 18 root canals a day.
Oh my God.
It's incredible, but they're, 9-hour days, 30 minutes a piece, and they're just, somehow performing high quality endo in a very short period of time. And it really comes down to, the systems that are in place in your office. I'm not saying I do 18 cases a day. I would never want to do that many, but it's a thing that happens, and it basically comes down to scheduling and efficiency, and how your team moves around you.
Yeah. I start to cap out 80 a day for me. Is like top of the line, like pretty good. I have done 110 before.
Sorry,
How?
my phone overheated. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, like it quickly
AAO in
summarized.
Philadelphia.
No, it cost me like $300,000 to figure out that big beautiful tax bill, and like it's all about spending the money to buy someone else's hours. I never thought of it like that. I think that's a very good example of like how you.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I always thought of 10,000 hours, but I never thought of buying or renting or borrowing someone else's hours like that. Like
I didn't
obviously,
think of that either.
yeah, that is a very.
When I was at the AAO, like within 2 hours or 3 hours of the AAO being open, like not even till lunchtime, I already agreed to spend, I think it was almost $50,000 within like 6 hours of the AAO. And I didn't have $50,000 in my pocket, but no, I said no. I had to pay for 2 doctors for the course. Again, where Dr. Joe was alluding to, I can either try the system on my own, save thousands of dollars, or do I just go ahead and learn from like the greatest of all time who created the system, who's been teaching this, and who helped create literally the guys that I followed? He actually taught all of them. It's his techniques that they're all doing. So why don't I just learn from the guy himself Dr. Tom Pitts, who's nearly 90 years old and still like sharp like no other. So I said, okay, they're gonna hold our hand and do it with us. Okay, we just do it for 2 years. And I bought the equipment to help create even nicer smiles with the laser gingivectomy. Orthodontists don't have to do gingivectomies, and I don't charge extra for it, but it helps me create the wow smiles that I want to go for. And I said, okay, I didn't have the $12,000 on me, but I went ahead and bought it anyways. And it was totally worth it. Absolutely. The course and all the extra stuff. It was a very, very productive day by lunchtime. And that was just the first day of the AAO. After that, I didn't buy anything else. That was good right there. That was enough.
After that, you were broke. I guess like
I was broke.
the last big thing I want to leave people with is like, what would you tell people that you didn't know then that you know now that are looking to buy an office now, like making that move now? I mean, I could tell you, I probably have 30 people trying to buy an office by the end of the year. Like, if you had to give any advice, because they're probably going to be the ones that are actually watching this, which is funny. I've learned, I don't know if you know this, man, our viewers are actually a rotating 30, 40 people. I don't think we have any loyal viewers. They're people that watch us until they get what they want and they're gone. Like, I talked to somebody yesterday. I was like, and he was like, yeah, I watched like 2 episodes. I bought my office and I don't care anymore because I have you. He's like, I can just call you. And I'm like, I guess that's a point. Like, sure. But like, what would you tell people that are going through that stress and process now, like that you wish you knew, if there is anything?
I mean, my thing is if you're thinking about opening a practice or buying a practice, just don't wait for it to feel right because it's never going to feel right. And you're constantly going to feel like there's a better time to do it or you should be more stable or any laundry list of reasons. My thought is the sooner you start, the sooner it's going to be a good practice. Just get moving and figure it out as you go.
Yeah, from a wealth building standpoint, I think every one of us has like a finite amount of years of peak earnings, and there will be a point where Joe and I will say, we don't want to do anything dentistry anymore. That a day will come where we just don't want to do clinical dentistry, I'll say, anymore. And if you want to devote most of those years towards working for someone else, that's okay. But if you even have like the little bit of faintest that, hey, I think you want to acquire a practice of your own, do your own startup, for every day or every year you delay it, you just take away from 1 year of peak earnings of whatever imagine your number is of peak earnings. And those are the numbers that you can hit. That's the amount of money that is not lost from you taking out the loan. It's actually from you not enjoying the highest fruits of your labor in your own control in your own office. So it's don't delay your dreams. If you have the right, I'll say the right support system, like the right family, like a spouse that supports you and everything, to go ahead and go for it. It's like, don't delay it, and there's never a right time at all.
And you both have that. You both have very aggressive spouses in a very good way. I do think that's something that helps. Like, if you have like, I have an aggressive significant other, and that makes it. If you have someone driving you and feeding it in a positive way, you end up in a much more positive spot. Like, you know, maybe sure, Tamana's secret plan might have been to just pretend to work at men's practice after becoming like so Joe, Min's wife was supposed to be a general dentist and she decided to be an orthodontist because she realized how easy it was to just point and wave. I like but she bullied him into doing it. I told him about the startup and she didn't say, oh, I don't know. She was like, yeah, do it. You got to make us money. Like, go figure it out. And like, I feel like, in your world, Joe, like Andrea pushes you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever you want to do something, she's always hyped up. And that's like that energy helps. Like if you have that household energy and then you have the energy from your team, like I bullied you both to just do it. Like I was like, here's your banks, go figure it out. Like, even especially Joe's part, like you were getting frustrated with them at the end. You wanted to fire all those guys at the last month.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have my degree yet, but I'm done. Like I remember that last month. I'm pretty sure he wanted to strangle everybody, maybe even me a little bit. Uh, it's good to have people that are giving you positive
There he goes
weight
again.
or
There we go.
sorry. I said I wouldn't wait, and I don't think there's any scenario where I would wait to do any of that stuff. But I think we should end it there. I think we're good. My phone's also acting funky, but I appreciate you, Joe.
We're still learning how to end the shows.
Shut up. This is a good ending. We end the show on a happy note. Everybody's happy. No, we're glad you made time for a show, and I appreciate you giving some feedback on like your situation and how you did it.
You got it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you gave some great
Thanks for being on the show, Joe.
some
Hope
great
you had fun.
examples. Get it? Because this is an egg. But
I saw you had a Topo Chico.
yeah, they're our sponsor, Topo Chico. You know, Joe, they pay us $100,000 an episode. Topo Chico. Every time. This time they gave me lime with mint. Last episode they gave me it was raspberry. It's a different life. One day you guys will get there with
Yeah.
getting
I'm going to keep
sponsors.
tagging them. I'll put a hashtag ad.
Yeah, just keep.
Look real.
Eat a banana.
Tequila.
Dude, if you just keep doing it, I mean, I'm going to just tell everybody that Topo Chico gives me a bunch of money, and then eventually it's going to happen. One day they're going to send me a check, and everybody's going to be like, oh, man, see? But,
No.
yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, comment, share, all those good things. And then,
Yeah, don't give up. Just
talk
because
to
you
you
get what
soon.
just because you get what you want doesn't mean you stop subscribing. That's bullshit. I found that out yesterday. I don't like it.
Cool. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody. Bye.